There is a dog in Chile, his name is Tommy, and every day, for 6 years, he went to the same hospital. He would walk through the entrance, find a spot near the waiting room, and sit. He was not sick. He had no appointment. He was waiting for his owner, a man who had died inside that hospital and never came home. Now here is the question that scientists have argued about for over a century. Was Tommy grieving, or was he just doing what dogs do? Did he feel something like loss, like love, like longing? Or is that just us projecting human feelings onto an animal that doesn't actually feel anything at all? The answer, it turns out, is far stranger and far more beautiful than either side expected. For most of human history, we assumed animals were basically machines. Eat, sleep, reproduce. No inner life, no feelings. René Descartes, the famous philosopher, believed animals were just biological automatons, running on instinct, feeling nothing. Even if they cried out in pain, he argued, that was not suffering. Just mechanics, like a clock making noise when it breaks. That view lasted a very long time. And then scientists started looking more carefully, and what they found changed everything. Here is something that should stop you cold. The part of the human brain that processes emotions, the limbic system, is not unique to humans. Mammals share it, birds have a version of it, even fish show activity in similar regions when they are threatened or separated from their group. Evolution does not build things it does not need. If the emotional brain is everywhere, it raises an uncomfortable possibility. Maybe emotions are not a human invention. Maybe they are ancient. Maybe they are survival tools. And maybe we are not as special as we thought. Let us start with elephants. When an elephant dies, the herd does not just walk away. They stay. They touch the body with their trunks. They stand in silence. They have been observed returning to the bones of dead relatives years later, touching the same skulls, spending time there, appearing to remember. Scientists call this a grief response. The elephant's behavior has no survival advantage. They gain nothing from returning. They go anyway. Crows are stranger than you think. When a crow dies, other crows gather. They do not eat, they do not fight, they form a kind of silent assembly around the body. Researchers at University of California, Davis ran experiments showing that crows remember the faces of humans who have harmed them, and they pass that memory to their children. If something feels like it matters that much enough to teach it to your young, is there not something emotional driving that? In 2011, a neuroscientist at the University of Chicago put a rat in a box. Across the room was another rat, trapped in a small tube, visibly distressed. The free rat could ignore it. There was food nearby. A comfortable corner, easy distractions. Instead, the free rat spent its time trying to open the tube. When it finally succeeded and freed the trapped rat, it shared its food. A rat sharing food with a stranger. After working to free them, the researchers called it empathy. A lot of people called it impossible. The data disagreed. Dolphins have been observed carrying their dead calves on their backs, sometimes for days. They will not let them sink. There is no scientific reason to do this. The calf is gone. But the mother does not seem to accept it. At what point does a behavior stop being instinct and start being grief? At what point is a feeling real? Here is where it gets complicated. We can observe behavior, we can measure brain chemistry, we can watch a rat free another rat, or an elephant stand over bones. But we cannot get inside their heads. We cannot ask them what they feel. Philosophers call this the hard problem of consciousness. We do not even fully understand what it means for a human to feel something. We just know we do. Animals cannot tell us. And that silence leaves a gap that humans have historically filled with our own assumptions. For centuries, we assumed the gap meant nothing. Now the science is suggesting the gap might be much smaller than we thought. Franz D., while one of the world's leading animal behavior researchers, spent his life studying chimpanzees, bonobos, and elephants. His conclusion was simple. The question is not whether animals have emotions. The question is why we ever thought they did not. There is one more thing worth sitting with. When we look at animal emotions and feel unsettled, when we feel the urge to say they don't really feel it, that tells us something. It tells us how much of our identity we have built on the idea that we are different, separate, superior, alone, at the top of something. But evolution does not work like that. Emotions likely evolved because they helped animals survive. Fear meant running from danger. Attachment meant protecting offspring. Grief, perhaps, meant understanding loss and learning from it. We did not invent those things, we inherited them from creatures that were feeling their way through a difficult world long before we arrived. Tommy the dog waited outside that hospital for 6 years. We will never know exactly what was happening inside him, but we know he kept going back, and maybe that is enough. And if you found yourself thinking about a pet or an animal you have watched, I would love to know in the comments. Because if we are being honest, the more we look, the more we find ourselves looking back.